Hi, I'm Robbie from RBC, and in today's how-to video, I'm going to be demonstrating a lower leg service on an Öhlins RXF36. You can use this procedure for the M2 or the Evo, both are similar. You will need some tools, a 2mm Allen key, a 14mm wrench, a ratchet driver, and two sockets, a 12 and a 14. For our lubes today, we're going to be using the RSP 0W30 for our lower legs and the Hyper Wiper. And then I've also got some new replacement foam wipers, which you will need obviously to replace your existing foam wipers once we do the service. This is a 50-hour service. I highly recommend that you do this every 50 hours. What it's going to do is it's going to make sure that the fork maintains its good working characteristics while you ride, and it's also going to prolong the life of the fork. So it's a really good idea to keep this up, and it's very simple to do. Okay, so the first thing we do, you don't have to take the fork off your bike, but for the demonstration today I have. For the demonstration on how to remove the fork from your bike, just check out our video on removing the fork and fitting it again, so that'll give you the procedures. All right, so we're going to start off by clamping this in our fork clamp. We're going to clamp it on the stereo tube. So on the air side, remember this has got a air cartridge, so you don't need to let the air out. So on the Evo, we need to remove the air cap, this little black air cap. But on the M2, you don't have to remove it because the M2 has a 14mm nut, where this cartridge that I've fitted to this fork has a 12mm nut. So we're going to take our socket, our 12mm socket, and we are going to remove this lower nut. Okay, there we go. The nut comes off with a little steel washer. There we go. So just set them out in the way they came off. Next, I need to take off the rebound little screw here, the rebound knob. So I'm going to take my 14mm, I'm going to put it around the rebound knob, and then with my 2mm, I'm going to undo the little nut at the bottom, and it'll all come off quite easily. There we go. So we've got our rebound knob with a 2mm. So next, after that, I'm going to take my 14mm socket. I'm going to put it into the damper side, and I'm going to undo the damper side. There we go. Okay, take that off. Just make sure that when you pull the lowers out, you've got a little oil bucket at the bottom, just in case there is an excess of oil in there. So we've got a little oil bucket, and I'm going to pull the lowers off now. As you can see, quite easily, they come off. There we go, and there's the oil that I was talking about. All right, so I'm going to take one of my clean rags, and I'm going to inspect the stanchions and the lower legs from the air cartridges and the damper. I'm looking for any kind of nicks or scratches, and also just to make sure it's nice and clean while I've got this opportunity to do that. All right, so now we're going to go to the actual lower legs. Inside the lower legs, you've got your two seals, SKF seals. Just give them a wipe out, make sure they're nice and clean. All right, and take a seal pick and just pull out the foam wiper. As you can see, that's quite dry, so it's definitely going to be hampering the performance of the fork. And every 50 hours I'm going to replace these. It's a cheap price, but it's always worthwhile having new ones in, because these do pick up the dirt that's ingested by the fork. So it's a good opportunity to make sure that you're putting some nice, fresh, clean ones back in again. Again, I want to wipe down the seals to make sure that they're clean. And it's also good for me to check if there's no dirt buildup or anything inside. I recommend replacing the seals every 100 to 150 hours or 200 hours depending on the condition you ride in, but I wouldn't go longer than 200 hours before I replace the seals. At that stage of the service, we would also be doing a full bleed on the damper and servicing the air cartridge as well. But for today, we're going to just be focusing on doing the lower leg. So now I've got my two clean 36 millimeter foam wipers. I'm going to stick them into my oil. I want to make sure that they are completely covered, or they soak up as much oil as possible. Keep in mind that they are sponges, so they will soak up the oil. And then I'm going to fit them in just like that into the groove between the upper end of the fork and the lower part of the seal. There we go. There's the one. And the other one, which is busy soaking in there as well. I want to fit this in here. Okay. Okay, once the foam wipers are in, I'm going to take a clean cloth. I'm just going to dry off the lube around the inside of your seals. And then I'm going to take the RSP hyper wiper and I'm going to put a drop of hyper wiper into the inside of each of these seals. So the top one and the bottom one will get. And with my finger, I'm just going to make sure it's nice and lubricated all the way around. I like to use hyper wiper at this stage because it lubricates, it conditions, and it nourishes the rubber, especially if you're not putting in a new one. It keeps the rubber nice and compliant and also frictionless. So I recommend it. Rather than putting grease inside here, which will attract dirt, I prefer to use the hyper wiper. So with a little bit of excess oil on my hands, I'm actually going to lubricate the stanchions just to make sure that they initially go quite smoothly with when I introduce the lowers. Then I'm going to take the lowers, I'm going to put it in upside down like this, making sure that I've got the arch in the right place. And I'm actually going to seat it so that the lower the stanchions are only just touching the foam wiper. I actually don't want to insert it too far into this, and I'll tell you the reason why. There's two bushings here. There's a bushing here and a bushing here. When I put the lower leg oil in, I actually want the oil to run and sit between those two bushings to make sure that the oil is lubricating those both. If I put that in the bottom, I'm going to have to rely on the oil being moved up physically. So to start out with, I actually want to encourage as much oil as possible to be right up where the foam wipers are. So you can see this is on. It is on, but it's only just, the stanchion is only just inserted into the seal. So I'm going to then drop it down to a 45-degree angle. I'm going to take my RSP 0W30. I'm taking 10 milliliters of RSP fork lube, 0W30, and putting it in the lowers of each side. So 10 mils each side. And I'm going to make sure that at 45-degree angle, this lube is now going to run down right up to over here where my seal is, and it's going to make sure that as much lubrication as possible is going to be sitting between the two bushings once I assemble the fork. Okay, so once you've done with that, you can just push the fork back together again. There we go. Both sides will stick, both your damper and your air cartridge will pop straight out the bottom. So when you put the air cartridge on, you've got to start out with what you took off last, which was the little silver washer, your lower nut, your foot nut. Okay, and as I said before, it doesn't need to be super tight. So 5 Newton meters is what I recommend. Okay, the other side gets the 14 mil. Okay, if you have an M2, both sides will be 14 mil, so you don't need to worry about a 12 mil socket. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to put my little rebound nut back on. 2mm Allen key for the little bolt. And then just ensuring it's tight by using my 14mm spanner just to hold it in place there. Please don't over tighten this. There's no need to do that. Over tightening it will definitely strip this little screw head, the Allen key head there. And then last but not least, we're going to put on our air cap. Okay, so now we're just going to take our clean cloth, give the forks a wipe, make sure they're nice and clean, put them back on the bike and hit the trails. If you like this video, hit the like button or subscribe to us to see more content. And don't forget to hit the bell if you want to be informed when we upload more videos. Thanks for watching.